Now, looking back over your real estate from the time you entered, starting when you went full time, and then buying the company, you look back and just see it as a slow, gradual rise, or do you think what are the high points and low points that you had? What do you think is your biggest break, looking back?
Well, the 90s were a good time in real estate. It was just solid, had good growth. But, obviously we all know that coming into like 2004, 5, 6, 7, it was crazy. It was the appreciation, the speculation, the fever pitch that was there. A lot of, I hate to say it, but it created greed. And it was a tough time to work in the market with all that going on and multiple offers and competitions. It was just very, very challenging. Hard to get deals together, get people angry because their offer wasn't accepted. So it was tough.
So you're saying it was challenging during the boom?
Yes, it was. For us doing business, it was challenging. And then, the floor fell out, and we had to scramble quick, and we got involved in the foreclosure business at that time. I picked up a couple of folks to help me out, including my stepson John. Sonia Crum was another one that came in to help, and a couple of others along the way. Justin Connell was another guy. Anyway, we picked these guys up, and I said, let's build just a foreclosure team that works with banks and see how many accounts we can get. One of the big ones we landed was Wells Fargo. So, yeah, it was very good.
Now, what time did you put together that team and start
This was about 07, at the very beginning of the crash.
Okay.
So we assembled this, took a lot of seed money to get it rolling because nothing paid off right away. But the point was that really helped carry us through the whole downturn, because as the market was falling, that business was growing like crazy. So we were getting really, really strong in that field. And then as the market bottomed out and turned the corner, that tapered off. So it worked out really well for us. But during those times, there was some really, really interesting things that happened. One fellow in Las Vegas one year, I believe the number was 1,100 closings for 1 year.
Wow.
One guy. Now he had a team, but 1,100 closings. So he was closing almost 100 transactions a month because of some relationships with banks and things of that nature. So it created, the market really changed for the real estate, because those people that had those connections and those relationships, they really did really well, while the general realtors tapered off and were, if you didn't have those connections or you came in too late, then you were in trouble. We landed Wells Fargo as an example just before they shut the door and didn't take any more agents in. They had plenty, they thought, to do it. So they were a good client and certainly helped us through that downturn. But during those times, it was so difficult because things like people were losing their houses. People were short selling their houses. The challenge was helping people through this process, and many times it was for the better at the end of the day, but it's not always easy taking them through that. I really, really prided myself on doing it as compassionately as possible. But John showed up at a house one day that the bank already owned, and they used to do what's called cash for keys. So the bank owns the house, and they're here to knock, knock, knock. I'm sorry, you have to leave, but if you leave under our guidelines, we'll give you money. So
gotcha, just to protect so they don't hurt the home.
Right,
they go
right,
smoothly. You don't
exactly.
have to call the police.
Leave the appliances.
Yeah.
Don't take the kitchen cabinets. These kind of things. And it was really kind of, it gets me sometimes when I think about it. So he shows up, and the husband had no idea that his wife wasn't making the payments.
Oh no.
He was handicapped. He sits home all day, and the wife was getting the mail that had all the foreclosure notices, intercepted everything. So John shows up, you know, and he's like, "What do you mean I'm behind on my payments?" And he's like, "Not only are you behind, you've already lost your house." So he was clueless about it. And I just think about, you know, what happened with those people after the wife got home,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and where did they end up? And those are the kind of things that they really affect us. And we were in some tough times. But like I said, we did the best we could with the people and tried to help them any way we could. And it allowed us to survive that downturn by doing that kind of work, but it was never easy.
Well, and speaking of the recession, you know, we went through a very low time in real estate. Every once in a while, I hear something on the radio that says we've maybe come back close to where we were. I hear different opinions. Where do you think we are as a market? Are we stronger than we were? Are you seeing some of the maybe some of the things that got us here starting to repeat, or do you feel like we aren't seeing that as much?
I get those questions all the time, and we, as a market goes, the values that I see are probably 80 to 90% of the peak value in most good neighborhoods.
Okay.
So we're getting close, no question. Some select neighborhoods might actually have caught up. So depending on the desirability of a neighborhood. But that was a perfect storm that created that bubble bursting that we went through. And some of the things we don't have today, we don't have those loans that if you had a heartbeat, you could get a mortgage to buy a house or two or three. We don't have those anymore. We don't have the speculation that we had back in the 06, 07 time frame. People were buying houses just to sit on them for a few months, knowing that they were going to make money in 3 or 4
Right.
months. They would buy a new home from a builder because they knew that by the time that home was built, it was worth way more than what they paid for it. It got to such a funny time that the builders actually were signing contracts open-ended, saying that yes, you can buy this house, however, we're going to tell you how much it's going to cost when we're done with it. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So that was the way the market was back then. And it's hard for us to go back in time and really think about how crazy it was. But when you think about it, it just doesn't make sense. And once in a while I go, wow, I can't believe I didn't see it coming.
Right.
But you're all caught up in it, and you just don't see it sometimes because you're in it in the moment. But I don't see those same signs and those same indicators right now. Our market is strong, mostly because of a shortage of inventory, but which really helps push the prices up. Many multiple offers now on homes again. So there are a lot of those similar things going on, but we don't have the 20% appreciation rate that we had back then, and a lot of the other key factors that figured into that crash.